I was staring at the security footage, fast-forwarding through hours of nothing, when I caught the moment that cracked my world in half. It was Thursday, 2:36 a.m. My wife, Emily, tiptoed in through the front door like a teenager dodging curfew. Hair messy, heels in hand, lipstick smeared. She didn't know the foyer camera existed. I installed it a year ago after a break-in scare. Guess who forgot? I leaned in closer. Then I saw it. She wasn't alone. A tall guy in a leather jacket paused in the shadow just beyond the porch, kissed her hand like this was some fairy tale ending, and whispered something in her ear. She laughed. That laugh used to be mine. She used to fall asleep on my chest laughing at dumb movies. Now it was his. And just like that, my stomach dropped through the floor. 3 days earlier, I had surprised her with a brand new Range Rover. Matte black, red interior. Fully loaded. I dropped $140,000 like it was nothing. The dealership's mine, after all. She cried happy tears. Told me I was the best man she'd ever known. That night, she thanked me the way husbands like to be thanked. Passion, slow burning, real. Or so I thought. Fast forward to Friday afternoon, 2 days after her late-night cameo. I walk into the kitchen and see her on her phone, pacing, biting her nails. Something about her was off. The way she looked at me, like I was a wall she couldn't wait to climb over. Then it happened. "I'm filing for divorce," she said, dropping the words like she was ordering coffee. No build-up. No tears. Just cold steel. "Wait, what?" She looked me dead in the eye and said, "He's my upgrade. You were just a stepping stone." I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was surreal. I'd spent 5 years building this life. Gave her everything. Car, house, vacations, freedom. She spent them all like tokens at a damn fair. I didn't even ask who he was. I didn't need to. The man on the footage was enough. 2 days later, I made one call. Repossessed the black Range Rover registered to Emily Carter. VIN ends in 4417. By noon, a tow truck pulled up outside her yoga studio. Yeah, the one I funded, and rolled her status symbol away with the same grace she'd used to abandon our marriage. Word on the street? Her new man, Cole, some smug gym trainer with abs and zero brains, found out the car was never hers. That I owned the dealership. That I could take it back whenever I wanted. Turns out her upgrade came with a downgrade clause. I sent her one text, just one. Level, reset. You know what she replied? Typical. Small man energy. I stared at the screen. My pulse was steady. I wasn't mad. Not anymore. But that's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't come with fireworks. It comes quiet, in the stillness between one breath and the next. It comes when you realize the woman sleeping beside you had already packed up emotionally weeks ago. And the worst part? I still wanted answers. Why now? Why him? Why the lies, the deception, the performance of love when it had all been scripted to end? I started digging. What I found was a trail of receipts, Instagram DMs from burner accounts, hotel bookings under aliases, and one video, recorded at some rooftop bar, of her grinding against Cole like she was in heat and marriage was a joke. You know what they were laughing about? Bet he thinks I'm at book club. She said it. My wife. The woman who once whispered, "I'd never do anything to hurt you," while wearing my ring. This wasn't just infidelity. This was assassination of trust. Cold-blooded character murder. And I was the body they buried. But I wasn't done. No, this was the beginning. And if Emily thought she'd seen the last of what I'm capable of, she forgot one thing. I build empires. She just lit a match. 3 nights after the tow truck hauled away her illusion of power, I found myself parked outside a bar called Eden's Edge. A real classy dump, dim neon lights, overpriced cocktails, and too many mirrors. Her favorite. She once said it made her feel like a movie star. I watched from the SUV, my SUV, the one she used to borrow before she wanted her own luxury badge, and waited. Around 10:45 p.m., she walked out the front doors with Cole glued to her hip like a prize she'd just won at a rigged carnival. They kissed like teenagers trying to prove something to the world. She wore the dress I bought her for our anniversary last year. Red silk. Backless. I remember how she cried when she first tried it on. Said it made her feel beautiful. Now she was draped in it while her hand slid down Cole's chest in public like decency was optional. I wasn't jealous. I was boiling. Not because she was with another man, but because of the audacity. She told our friends I was emotionally unavailable. Told her sister I never listened. Meanwhile, She was out here playing house with someone whose idea of culture was protein shakes and TikTok dance challenges. Back home, I printed out every piece of evidence I collected, photos, texts, hotel bookings, and that rooftop bar video, and placed them neatly in a leather folder. On the cover, in gold embossing, for Emily. When she came by the house to pick up some clothes, without knocking, as if I was invisible in my own damn home, I handed her the folder. She took it like it was a joke. "What's this?" "Your diary of heartbreak." "Open it," I said. She did. And for the first time since all this began, I saw it. That flicker of fear. Her fingers froze. Her lips twitched. She closed it halfway through and hissed. "You were spying on me?" I stayed calm. "No, Emily. I was watching the house I paid for. You just brought the circus into it." She slammed the folder shut. "You think this makes you look strong? You look pathetic. You're holding on to something that's dead." "No," I said. "I buried it. This is the obituary." That was the last time I saw her in my house. 2 days later, she tried to come for half the business. Said she helped emotionally support my dealership growth. Her lawyer sent over a proposal that might as well have been handwritten in lipstick, so full of delusion, it was almost cute. I had receipts, emails, witnesses. Her name wasn't on a single contract. I countered with facts. She vanished for 3 days. Then came the texts. "Let's talk like adults." I was confused. It didn't mean anything. And finally, "Can we fix this?" Fix. As if she'd broken a dish, not a marriage. That's when it really hit me. She never loved me. She loved the version of me that looked good on Instagram. The one who paid the bills, smiled at dinners, upgraded her lifestyle every season. She didn't marry a man. She married an opportunity. And when the next one showed up with abs and charisma, she jumped ship without checking if it floated. I sat alone in the living room one night, staring at the indentation her body used to leave in the couch cushions. Our dog, well, my dog now, whined and paced by the door like he still expected her to come home. That broke me. More than the cheating, the lies, the Range Rover drama, that moment did. He missed her, and he didn't know why she never came back. I whispered to him, "She's not your person anymore, buddy." And I realized I wasn't hers either. I never was. I was just a step on a staircase she planned to climb until the view got better. Only now, she was stuck halfway up, and the rest of the stairs were crumbling beneath her. I didn't cry. I didn't punch walls. I didn't beg. I got up, and I started rebuilding. Not out of revenge. Out of clarity. Because some people aren't storms, they're smoke. They choke you slowly. And when they're gone, you breathe for the first time in years. I saw her again 3 weeks later, not by accident. Nothing was accidental anymore. I'd learned to move like a shadow, just close enough to see, far enough not to be seen. That night, she was at a rooftop party thrown by a mutual friend, someone who hadn't yet chosen sides or realized that neutrality in betrayal is just cowardice in a dress shirt. I wasn't invited. I didn't need to be. The doorman used to be my client. One handshake and I was inside. She was glowing. Not from happiness, from attention. She laughed a little louder than necessary, clung to Cole's arm like he was the last oxygen tank on a sinking ship. Her voice carried, purposely. She wanted to be heard. She wanted someone to tell me. Or maybe she hoped I'd show up, just so she could twist the knife a little deeper. She didn't see me when I walked past. I was behind a planter, 2 drinks in, heart steady like a sniper waiting for wind. I didn't come to cause a scene. I came to confront the version of her that was so sure she'd won. Then fate stepped in. Cole was on the phone near the balcony, whispering something intense, pacing. Emily stood inside near the bar, clearly annoyed. She checked her phone, then his location, then muttered something under her breath. I saw her eyes narrow as she moved toward him. And then, like watching a script flip in real time, he turned around mid-conversation and said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "Look, I told you. I'm with her for now. Let me handle it." She stopped dead, her face drained. That red wine confidence dried up in seconds. I don't know who he was talking to. Another girl? An ex? Someone new? Doesn't matter. In that moment, the universe balanced itself. She stormed back inside, eyes wet, pretending nothing happened. But I'd seen enough. So I walked up. She froze when she saw me. Her mouth opened, then shut. She wasn't ready. She never expected me to walk into her new world and look completely unaffected. "Cole," I said, "you should know. When she says I love you, it usually means she's halfway out the door." He looked confused. Then amused. You her ex? Yeah, I smiled. But you're about to be her next ex. Emily stepped between us, face red, voice shaking. What are you doing here? Just dropping off a message. For both of you. She rolled her eyes. Seriously? I leaned in, low enough that only she could hear me. This is what you left me for? Hope the upgrade has airbags. You're gonna need em. And then I walked away. No yelling. No scene. Just a quiet exit. That night, she called me 5 times. I didn't answer. On the 6th, I picked up. Why are you trying to ruin everything for me? I laughed. You already did that yourself. I'm just the echo. You think you're so clever, huh? No. I just think you're not. Silence. Then, her voice dropped to that fake sweet whisper she always used when she wanted something. Look, maybe we can talk. Just us. One dinner. That's all I'm saying. Why? I asked. So you can explain how I was your stepping stone? Or is Cole not panning out like you planned? Nothing. She hated silence when it wasn't hers. I ended the call. That was the last time I heard her voice through a phone. But the last time I saw her was a week later, in a grocery store parking lot. She was crying. Alone. No makeup, no Cole, no red dress. Just a hoodie and desperation. She didn't see me. I didn't stop. I just watched her for a second longer than I should have. Not out of pity, not out of nostalgia, but to burn the image into my memory, what it looked like when karma finally came home. Next, I would start the process. Not legal revenge. That was easy. I had lawyers. I'm talking about personal closure. The final confrontation. The one where masks fall off, and people either face who they really are, or run from it. And I was done running. The message came through on a Thursday night. One of those strange gaps in the week where everything feels too quiet, like the world's holding its breath. It was her. Again. Please. I need to see you. Just one last time. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the reply. My instincts screamed no. But there was a piece of me, the last splinter of the idiot who believed in her, that wanted to know what else she could possibly say. What could she lie about now that hadn't already been fed through her sharp little teeth? So I agreed. Public place. Bright lighting. Neutral ground. We met at a quiet restaurant tucked into the hills outside the city, the kind of place we used to go when we still pretended we liked each other. She showed up wearing soft makeup and a forced smile. Like none of it ever happened. Like she could act her way out of this. I didn't speak. Just let her start. I've been thinking, she said, folding her hands on the table like she was about to deliver a TED Talk. Maybe we rushed into things. I was confused. A lot was going on. Cut the theater, I said. Tell me what you really want. She blinked. You know what I want. Yeah, but I want to hear you say it. Say you chose a dude who sees you as an accessory, and now you're second-guessing because the real world isn't as glamorous as your imagination. She flinched. I made a mistake, she whispered. No. I leaned in, voice calm but firm. You made a decision. Repeatedly. In hotels. On balconies. In my house. While wearing my ring. She opened her mouth to respond, but I kept going. You gaslit me for months. Lied to my face. Slept beside me. Kissed me good morning. And then went out and gave someone else what I thought was mine. And now that your little experiment turned into a disaster, you come crawling back. She sat in silence. Her bottom lip trembled for a second before she caught herself. You weren't perfect either, she said, like that excused her sabotage. No, I said, but I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't throw away loyalty like it was last season's purse. Then came the waterworks. The show she pulled out when her back hit the wall. She cried. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. She tried to reach across the table, fingers twitching toward mine. I pulled my hand back like she was on fire. I miss you, she whispered. I miss the version of you that never existed, I replied. She looked like I slapped her. Good. I stood up, threw down some cash, and said the last words I'd ever say to her face. You traded love for lust, loyalty for likes, a future for a fantasy. I hope he was worth it. But from what I hear, he's already shopping for his next trophy. She didn't follow me out. I drove home with the windows down, wind cutting across my face, and a strange quiet in my chest. Not peace. Not yet. But the silence after a storm. The part where the damage is visible, but you're still standing. In the weeks that followed, she tried again. She posted old photos of us on social media with vague captions. She asked friends to accidentally mention her around me. She even tried to send my mom flowers. But her reach was shrinking. The final straw came when Cole himself messaged me. "You win," he wrote. "She's not who I thought she was." No reply. She lost everything. The house she tried to claim, the car, the ring, the business perks. Even her reputation, she torched that all by herself. And me? I started running again. Not from anything. Towards something. I rebuilt quietly, without announcing it. New clients, better deals, fresh energy. Some scars don't fade. I still look at people twice before trusting them. I still check the damn foyer camera more than I should. But I don't look for her anymore. Not in crowds, not in memories, not in songs. She's gone. Exactly where she belongs. Months passed. Not quickly, not painlessly, but they passed. And with every week that stacked between me and Emily, something in me realigned. I was no longer the man who bought her roses after every fight, or the fool who believed her eyes couldn't lie. I had become someone colder, sharper, more aware of the silence between words and the weight of what people don't say. I never went looking for updates on her. Didn't need to. They came to me. Turns out, her upgrade had already swapped her out for a newer model. A 22-year-old influencer with a 6-digit follower count and a surgically curated smile. One of Emily's friends, Danielle, slipped into my DMs late one night and said, "I know you don't want to hear this, but she's not okay. She's been drinking a lot. Says she misses the way you used to look at her." Funny thing is, I don't even remember how I used to look at her anymore. What I do remember is the night I got a call from her father. This man had barely acknowledged me during our marriage. Treated me like a seat filler in his daughter's Hollywood movie. But now, here he was, speaking softly on the phone like I was the only person left who could reach her. "She's spiraling," he said. "She won't talk to us. Won't come home." I said nothing. "I know you've moved on," he continued. "But if there's anything you can do." I cut him off. I already did everything I could. She just preferred to burn it down instead of build it with me. He sighed. "I always told her someday she'd regret this." "She already does," I said, and hung up. That night, I stared at the empty space in my closet where her shoes used to be. Not because I missed her, but because I couldn't believe how much space one person could take up in your life, only to vanish like smoke. I had carried her weight for years without realizing it. And now, standing in that quiet room, I finally felt the lightness of being alone. Not lonely, just alone. And with that aloneness came clarity. I started dating again, slowly, carefully, not looking for a replacement, just trying to rediscover parts of myself that had been buried under her lies. The women I met were kind, real, grounded. No games, no secret phones, no performance. It felt foreign at first, being wanted for who I am, not for the status I could offer. Then, one night, 7 months after it all blew up, I walked into the same grocery store where I'd last seen Emily crying by her car. She was there. No makeup, no Cole, no Range Rover. Just Emily. She saw me, froze. And I swear, for the first time in her life, she looked small. Not physically, just less. Like the shine had worn off, and all that was left was a woman who had traded something real for something glittering and temporary. She opened her mouth. Maybe to apologize. Maybe to pretend it never happened. I didn't wait to find out. I walked past her. Not out of bitterness. Out of evolution. That chapter had ended. And no matter how many sad eyes or whispered, "I miss you" texts she might send in the future, it stayed closed. I had my final thought later that night, pouring whiskey onto ice and watching the amber swirl. She thought she was the prize. But the whole time, I was. And she gave me away for free. A year passed. One whole rotation of the sun without her lies, without the subtle manipulation that used to wrap around my spine like a leash. I didn't just survive it. I outgrew it. It was a Wednesday when I got the letter. An actual, handwritten letter. On lavender paper that still carried the scent of her perfume. That smell used to mean home. Now it triggered the same reaction as walking past a trash bin in summer. Repulsion, then a grim sort of recognition. I sat at my desk and stared at it for a long while before opening it. "No, dear. No, I'm sorry." Just straight into her signature delusion. "I know you won't respond, but I have to say this." She went on about her regrets, about how she thought she wanted excitement, how Cole turned out to be a beautiful disaster, how she missed my laugh, my cooking, the way I used to brush her hair back behind her ear when she was anxious. "I didn't realize what I had until I lost it," she wrote. "I see that now. You were always too good for me. And maybe that scared me." Scared her? No. What scared her was not being the center of every room. What scared her was stability. Because in her world, comfort was boring and drama was currency. She ended the letter with a line that almost made me laugh. If there's ever a version of us again, I'd take better care of it. Us. As if there was still an us buried under the wreckage. As if she hadn't taken a flamethrower to the bridge and danced in the smoke. I didn't write back. I didn't call. I didn't even burn the letter, because that would have meant giving it more attention than it deserved. I slid it into a drawer and locked it away, not out of sentiment, but to remind myself how far I'd come. The old me might have crumbled at that letter. Might have met her at some neutral cafe, listened to her crocodile tears, let her spin a web out of broken promises and empty apologies. But the man I am now, he's not built to be used. I'd found someone new by then. Real. Honest. When she said she was at work, she actually was. When she said she loved me, I could see it in her eyes, not just hear it through a rehearsed tone. And even if it doesn't work out forever, she's not Emily. And that alone is peace. One night, maybe a month after the letter, I was out walking my dog through the park. Quiet, cool air. City lights low in the distance. I passed a bench we used to sit on, back when I thought forever was ours. I sat down, not out of nostalgia, out of closure. I looked up at the stars, the same ones we used to lie under when we dreamed about baby names, and lake houses, and someday. And I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding since the moment she said, "He's my upgrade." No, sweetheart. You weren't upgraded. You were outclassed. You mistook someone steady for someone simple. You confused loyalty for limitation. And you thought a new man with better abs and louder compliments could replace the man who gave you his whole heart without conditions. You lost that man. And I hope every night you spend pretending it doesn't hurt feels just like the silence you left behind. I stood up, whistled for the dog, and walked on. No looking back. No what-ifs. No rewinds. Just forward. Because I am no one's stepping stone. I am the destination. It was sometime around fall when I bumped into her sister, Claire. We weren't exactly close. She used to call me the safe choice behind my back. But now she looked at me like someone who'd just stepped into daylight after a long time in a dark room. "You look good," she said, almost surprised. "I am," I answered because I was. Not just healthier or richer or finally smiling again. I was good. Inside. Free from the rot her sister carried like perfume. Claire shuffled awkwardly, then pulled me aside. "Look, I'm not here to defend her, okay?" She made her bed. "But you should know she's not doing well." I raised an eyebrow. "What? You think that makes me feel better?" "No. I think maybe you needed to hear it." I didn't. But it didn't stop her. "She's broke," Claire whispered. "She maxed out the credit cards. Cole's gone. She tried going back to modeling, but she aged out of her last agency. She's been couch surfing, drinking too much. Says she dreams about you most nights. Says you don't look at her in the dream, just walk past like she's invisible." I gave a small shrug. "Sounds about right." Claire watched me for a second longer, then said the one thing I didn't expect. She was never afraid of losing you. She was afraid you'd move on and not look back, that you'd become someone she couldn't reach anymore. "Then congratulations," I said. She got her wish. Claire didn't argue. She just nodded, then walked off. And I stood there, hands in my pockets, not feeling sad. Not even angry. Just untouchable. Because somewhere between the tow truck, the rooftop party, and that lavender-scented letter, I'd stopped being the man she broke. I'd become the man who didn't need to explain himself anymore. One night, not long after, I sat down with a friend of mine, a guy who'd just found out his girlfriend had been cheating on him for months. He was cracked wide open. Raw. Like a mirror of who I used to be. She said it didn't mean anything, he muttered, staring into his drink. Like it was just physical. I put a hand on his shoulder. "That's the worst lie they tell," I said. "Because it's not about the body. It's about the betrayal of peace. The theft of safety." He looked up. "How did you move past it?" I thought about it for a moment. I stopped trying to understand why she did it. And I started understanding why I stayed as long as I did. That silence fell again. The same one that used to haunt me. Only now, it was comforting. Because now I knew what I deserved. Now I knew how to spot the cracks in a smile. Now I could tell the difference between love and performance. And no matter how much she missed me, or how many times she scrolled through our old pictures in the dark, biting her nails and whispering, "What if?" it didn't matter. She's the one who lost. I didn't just survive her betrayal. I outgrew the version of myself that let her in to begin with. And somewhere out there, someone better, someone real, is going to get the version of me that she never earned. The end came not with a bang, but with a quiet kind of peace I never thought I'd feel again. It was a random morning, overcast, chill in the air. I was having coffee on my balcony, the city stretching out in front of me like a canvas I finally understood how to paint on. My phone buzzed. I didn't check it. Not right away. Not like before, when I'd jump at every notification, wondering if it was her, if she'd finally said something worth hearing. I took another sip. Let the silence settle. Let the past stay buried where it belonged. Eventually, I looked. It was from a number I didn't recognize. The message was short. I'm sorry. For everything. No name. No plea. Just those 5 words. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to respond. I didn't feel anything. That's how I knew it was over. Not just the marriage. Not just the pain. All of it. The waiting, the wondering, the weight of her name in my chest. It was gone. Like fog lifting from a road that used to feel endless. Like waking up after a bad dream and realizing the sun still rose. So I blocked the number, finished my coffee, and walked inside to the woman who now shared my mornings, my laughter, my real life. She didn't need a Range Rover to feel valuable. She didn't need to lie to feel powerful. She just was, solid, simple, honest. She looked up from the kitchen with sleepy eyes and said, "You okay?" I smiled. "Yeah, I really am." Because the truth is, when someone sees you as a stepping stone, they don't deserve to walk beside you. And when someone finally earns your peace, your loyalty, your time, they don't have to ask for it. They just stay. So here's what I'll tell you, if you're standing where I stood. Let her go. Let the lies go. Let the anger fade. Let the betrayal be nothing more than the proof you needed to become someone better. You don't owe her revenge. You owe yourself a future. And when it finally arrives, don't look back. Not even once.